a plant that has been used for over 1,000 years as medicine, spice, and food, and yet most people in the Western world have never heard of it? What if this root, right now sitting in markets across Southeast Asia and East Africa, has been shown in peer-reviewed studies to fight inflammation as effectively as ibuprofen, without the side effects? That root exists. It's real, it's scientifically documented, and its name is Galangal. Galangal, pronounced Galangal, is the common name for several closely related plants in the genus Alpinia and Kaempferia, belonging to the family Zingiberaceae, the same botanical family that gives us ginger and turmeric. The two most important species are Greater Galangal, Alpinia galanga, and Lesser Galangal, Alpinia officinarum. There is also a third species, Kaempferia galanga, sometimes called sand ginger or resurrection lily, which is used heavily in traditional Indonesian and Malaysian medicine. Galangal originates from southern China and Southeast Asia, with historical records of its use in Java, Indonesia, going back to at least the 9th century CE. Arab traders brought it to Europe during the medieval period, where it was prized as one of the most expensive spices in existence, more costly than black pepper at the time. So what does galangal actually look like? The plant itself is a tall, upright herbaceous perennial that can reach 2 meters in height. Its leaves are long, lance-shaped, and deep green, almost tropical in appearance. The flowers are white with red streaks or pink-tipped, growing in terminal clusters at the top of the stem, but the real action happens underground. The root, technically a rhizome, is the part most widely used and traded. Greater galangal rhizomes are thick, pale white to creamy tan on the outside, and ivory white on the inside with visible concentric rings when cut. The skin has a slightly rough, pinkish-reddish tinge on young growth. Lesser galangal rhizomes are darker, more orange-red, and significantly more pungent and aromatic. Both have a firm, fibrous texture, quite different from the spongy texture of ginger. The flavor of galangal is what truly sets it apart. Where ginger is warm and sweet, galangal is piney, citrusy, and medicinal, almost like a combination of ginger, black pepper, and eucalyptus. It is not a substitute for ginger, it is its own culinary universe. This plant grows in places most people never think to look: humid forest floors, volcanic hillsides, and tropical river valleys. But it can also be tamed. In Act 2, we're going inside the world of galangal cultivation, from the precise soil chemistry it demands, to the countries that produce it in the millions of tons, to a week-by-week breakdown of exactly how this plant grows from rhizome to harvest. Galangal is a tropical and subtropical plant, but here's what makes it fascinating. It is far more cold-tolerant than most people assume. While it thrives in temperatures between 22 degrees Celsius and 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, established plants can survive brief temperature dips down to 5 degrees Celsius, 41 degrees Fahrenheit, without dying, as long as the soil remains above freezing. This cold tolerance is what allows galangal to grow in parts of China, northern Vietnam, and even protected garden spots in southern Europe and the southern United States. The plant absolutely requires high humidity, ideally 70 to 90%, and consistent moisture in the root zone. It does not tolerate waterlogged soils, however. This is critical. Galangal rhizomes will rot in poorly drained ground. The ideal soil is a deep, loamy, slightly acidic soil with a pH between 5.5 and 6.8, rich in organic matter, and with excellent drainage. Sandy loam or well-amended garden soil works well, one of galangal's most unusual growing traits. It genuinely thrives in partial shade. Unlike most root crops that need full sun, galangal evolved under the dappled light of forest canopies. This makes it ideal for growing beneath taller trees, on the north side of buildings, or as an understory crop in agroforestry systems. The global production of galangal is dominated by a handful of nations. Indonesia is by far the world's largest producer, particularly on the islands of Java and Bali, where it is a staple spice in traditional cooking. Thailand is the second major producer and the world's leading exporter of dried and powdered galangal, a key ingredient in the globally famous tom kha gai soup. China produces significant quantities of lesser galangal, Alpinia officinarum, primarily in Guangdong and Guangxi provinces. almost entirely for traditional medicine and pharmaceutical exports. Other notable producers include Malaysia, Vietnam, India, particularly the northeastern states, and the Philippines. In East Africa, particularly Kenya and Tanzania, Galangal is increasingly being cultivated for export to European and American herbal supplement markets. Now let's walk through exactly how Galangal grows week by week. Weeks 1 to 3, planting and dormancy. Galangal is propagated from rhizome divisions, not seeds, though seeds are viable. Take a healthy rhizome section with at least 2 to 3 growth nodes, called eyes, and plant it 5 to 8 centimeters deep in well-amended soil, with the nodes pointing upward. Keep the soil consistently moist but not wet. At this stage, nothing visible happens above ground, but underground, root initiation has begun. Weeks 4 to 6. First shoots. Pale, tightly rolled shoots emerge from the soil, uncurling into the characteristic lance-shaped leaves. Growth is slow at first. Months 2 to 4. Vegetative growth. The plant grows rapidly, sending up multiple stalks. Watering should be consistent. This is also the time to apply organic mulch to conserve moisture and suppress weeds. Months 4 to 8. Canopy development. The plant reaches full height. Flowers may appear. The rhizome mass underground is expanding steadily. Months 8 to 12. Harvest window. Galangal rhizomes can be harvested after 8 to 10 months for fresh use, or left in the ground for up to 18 months for larger, more mature rhizomes used in drying and processing. Signs of harvest readiness. Leaves begin to yellow and dry at the tips, and the plant growth visibly slows. Galangal grows remarkably well in large containers. At minimum, a 30-liter pot. Use a well-draining, organic-rich potting mix. Place the container in a spot with bright indirect light or partial sun. Keep moisture consistent. And you can harvest usable rhizomes within a year, even in temperate climates, bringing the container indoors during winter. Anti-inflammatory power. The rhizomes of Alpinia galanga are rich in galangin, a flavonoid, and 1S1-acetoxycavacol acetate, ACA, a phenylpropanoid compound. Multiple in vitro and animal studies have demonstrated that these compounds inhibit COX, 2 and 5, LOX enzymes, the same enzymatic pathways targeted by NSAIDs like ibuprofen and aspirin. A 2011 study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology confirmed significant anti-inflammatory activity in standardized galangal extracts. Human clinical trials remain limited, but the biochemical mechanism is well established. Antimicrobial properties. Research published in various food science and pharmacology journals has shown that galangal extracts demonstrate broad-spectrum antimicrobial activity. ACA in particular has been shown to inhibit the growth of Candida, albicans, Staphylococcus aureus, E. coli, and Helicobacter pylori, the bacterium responsible for gastric ulcers. This is part of why galangal has been used in Southeast Asian traditional medicine for digestive complaints for over a millennium. Antioxidant content. Galangal is a potent source of dietary antioxidants. 100 grams of fresh galangal contains appreciable levels of quercetin, camphorol, and galangin, all documented free radical scavengers. These compounds help neutralize oxidative stress, which is implicated in aging and chronic disease development. Digestive and gut health. Traditional use of galangal as a digestive aid to reduce nausea, bloating, and stomach cramps is supported by modern research. Studies suggest galangal stimulates digestive enzyme secretion and has mild prokinetic effects, meaning it helps move food through the gut more efficiently. Nutritional profile. Per 100 grams fresh weight, galangal provides approximately 70 to 80 kilocalories, 15 grams of carbohydrates, 2 to 3 grams of dietary fiber, meaningful levels of vitamin C, around 5 milligrams, potassium, approximately 170 milligrams, and trace amounts of iron, magnesium, and phosphorus. It also contains essential oils, including cineol, methylcinnamate, and pinene, which contribute both its aroma and its pharmacological activity. Galangal is not just for humans. In poultry farming, particularly in Southeast Asia, galangal powder is added to feed as a natural growth promoter and antimicrobial agent. Research from Indonesian agricultural institutions has shown that including galangal powder at 0.5 to 1.5% of feed ration improves feed conversion efficiency in broiler chickens and reduces intestinal pathogen loads, reducing the need for antibiotic supplementation. This makes it a valuable tool in antibiotic-free poultry production systems. In aquaculture, galangal extracts are being studied as natural disease prevention agents in fish farming, particularly against common bacterial fish pathogens. From an ecological standpoint, galangal is a highly beneficial crop. As a perennial plant requiring no annual tillage, it actively improves soil structure over time. Its dense rhizome mat holds soil in place, reducing erosion on hillsides and stream banks. It thrives in agroforestry systems, meaning it can be grown underneath timber trees or fruit orchards simultaneously, maximizing land productivity without monoculture. The flowering stalks attract bees and native pollinators during blooming season, providing an ecological service particularly valuable in tropical agroforestry zones. Because galangal is naturally pest-resistant due to its bioactive compounds, it requires minimal or zero pesticide application, further reducing environmental chemical load. It is one of the most undervalued, underutilized, and undergrown plants available to home gardeners and small-scale farmers today. And the reasons to change that are both personal and global. If you have a garden, even a small one, Galangal asks very little of you. It thrives in partial shade, tolerates neglect better than most crops, requires no annual replanting once established, and gives back richly. A single planting can produce fresh rhizomes indefinitely if managed with basic division every 2 to 3 years. It is one of the most self-sustaining food and medicine plants you can cultivate. Galangal genetic diversity is under quiet but real threat. As commercial agriculture increasingly standardizes to a small number of high-yield cultivars, the dozens of regional landrace varieties of galangal, each with its own unique phytochemical profile, flavor, and environmental adaptation, are gradually disappearing. Saving and sharing rhizome divisions of locally adapted galangal varieties is a form of seed sovereignty. It keeps genetic material in the hands of communities, not corporations. Every gardener who preserves a regional variety and shares it with neighbors or seed libraries is contributing to the long-term resilience of our food and medicine systems. This is not abstract activism, it is practical hands-in-the-soil conservation. For farmers and smallholders, galangal represents a genuinely compelling economic opportunity. Global demand for galangal in both fresh and processed forms has grown steadily over the past 2 decades, driven by the global expansion of Thai, Indonesian, and Vietnamese cuisine, and by booming interest in botanical supplements. Fresh galangal rhizomes sell for between $3 and $8 USD per kilogram. In international markets, with organic and certified specialty varieties commanding even higher premiums, dried and powdered galangal can fetch $10 to $20 per kilogram wholesale. Essential oil of galangal, used in perfumery and pharmaceuticals, sells for hundreds of dollars per kilogram at specialty markets. A 1-acre planting of galangal in favorable growing conditions can yield 8,000 to 15,000 kilograms of fresh rhizomes per year after the second year of growth, with very low input costs compared to annual crops. For smallholder farmers in tropical regions looking for a perennial low-maintenance cash crop with growing international demand, galangal deserves serious consideration. There is something almost poetic about a plant that has been feeding and healing people for over 1,000 years, that was traded by Arab merchants in the medieval Middle East, stirred into the royal soups of ancient Thai kingdoms, and prescribed by Chinese herbalists in texts still read today, now growing quietly in backyards and small plots around the world, waiting to be rediscovered. Galangal is not exotic or difficult, it is simply forgotten by many. And one of the most hopeful things a person can do, in a world of processed food, industrial agriculture, and ecological fragility, is to plant something real, something that connects you to the earth, to history, to the complex chemistry of living plants that science is still unpacking. Plant one rhizome, give it partial shade and a bit of moisture. Come back in a year, and you will have something that generations before you already knew was extraordinary. If you found value in this video, please consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who loves to grow things. Hit the like button if you want to see more reality-based deep dives into the world's most extraordinary plants. And if you're already growing Galangal, drop a comment below and tell us where in the world you are. We'd love to know.